think when you talk about data integration specifically, we're talking about dealing with legacy technology. And most often about monolithic systems that were designed to do very specific things well, but rarely to interoperate. For example, network utilities, this typically means being able to integrate with GIS and ERP systems, work planning tools, customer platforms, through to really high-scale data systems like OT, SCADA, and smart meters. I think this complexity means that there's going to be many bumps along the road, and the culture you need to build needs to be able to accommodate these bumps. It needs to really encourage iteration and accept that some of these experiments are going to become lighthouse examples and others are just simply not going to work out. Throughout efforts to integrate data and digitalize, utilities must really focus on an outcome, the so what. Utilities like PG&E and NBV have made really great progress bringing together this complex landscape and building out a culture around digitalization which allows this to happen. Technology has a big role to play here. We've come a long way as a sector from solutions built on custom databases that are running on mainframe computers. And this progress has reduced execution and delivery risk significantly. And I think following this analogy, there's great software available today which allows utilities to focus on operationalizing data while removing execution risk associated with building bespoke platforms from scratch. Specifically, our product Foundry allows utilities to focus on building out their enterprise ontology, which by way of open APIs becomes a common semantic or operating system for interoperation across their core systems. Well, to start off with, Palantir helps its customers define their transition by enabling them to describe their overall operations in really granular detail. And this really brings us back to this concept of an enterprise-wide ontology, or digital twin as a lot of people call it. And that's one that extends way beyond physical assets and 3D wireframe models and into supply chains and portfolio planning and more. So kind of zooming that back out to bring it back to the question, our experience has really demonstrated time and again that top-down analysis allows for useful directional strategy, but it often fails to bring about real change. Basically, it's too far removed from the thousands or millions of decisions that get made day in, day out, the decisions that actually define the real outcomes for an organization when taken as a whole. And this couldn't be more true than in the context of net zero and energy transition. So to bring this all together, we play a vital role in the energy transition by enabling our partners to operationalize their data at massive scale and at speed. This allows them to define a top-level strategy based on the reality on the ground. But crucially, it means that it's possible to drill down to the individual operations, processes, and decision-making patterns that need to be addressed in order to materialize real change. Practically, I think this kind of takes the form of helping on a variety of use cases related to the energy transition. So it could be helping companies like Sonnedix replace and maintain their solar assets, helping EV companies deploy their EV charging fleets and then maintaining them at scale, or otherwise helping companies across the industrial sector make greener supply chain choices, and that's by understanding the real granular details of those supply chains. I think there's many ways, so I'll focus in on an example that I know is affecting many countries and geographies. That's planning new transmission infrastructure and relatedly being able to respond rapidly to connection requests, for example, for new renewable projects. Technology like ours has a big role to play here, I think, by allowing the network operators to understand deeply the current state of their system and perhaps more crucially, to collaborate at speed and securely within the ecosystem of stakeholders that they need to interact with. From the renewable project developer to the system operator to the regulator, all the way through to local communities, this is kind of that ecosystem that needs to be able to share data and really collaborate at speed. We're exploring with several network operators how our product Foundry can facilitate the secure multi-stakeholder collaboration that's required to remove many of these hurdles and therefore be able to move through this process at speed, and that's really what the sector needs. I think it's also worth mentioning that the same principles can be wielded in support of renewable project development more generally. We currently support project developers on things like site selection and portfolio steering. And as the push for an open, interoperable energy system grows, and we're seeing that across Europe, I can see products like Foundry being a crucial tool in enabling developers and asset operators to play their part in a wider, more digitally connected system.